Hey everybody! Just a quick reminder, these stories aren't always public perfect conversation. I do use a lot of strong language in here, and I talk about some things that aren't always necessarily pleasant to hear. But I hope you still enjoy it. Also, please don't forget to check me out on everywhere you can find music and other podcasts. Mostly, follow me on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can get ad-free content, 24 hours early access to episodes, and for $3 a month, you get the options of having community chats with me and some of the other fans. For $5 a month, you get voting powers on any changes I want to run through the fans. You also get priority requests and suggestions, live Q&As, community chats, one-on-one chats with me personally, either through messages or through calls, and maybe we can even set up a time to be a guest on the show. And of course, that's in addition to everything from the lower tiers. I'm planning on doing more with the community as it grows. With that being said, let's get into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Stories from Behind the Counter, and as always, I'm your host, Alpha. Thanks for joining us again. I just wanted to start out by saying I'm sure you've noticed in the last couple of episodes that I have been advertising for Aspire Energy. Yes, I am getting a small commission off of this, but at the same time, I would not endorse anything that I have not personally tried and I do not personally like. So, if there's any worries on that, these are wonderful drinks. They really are delicious, nice and light. It's just one of those things that I tell everyone, you have to try it for yourself, see if you like it. I didn't think I'd like it because I was so used to drinking up to a pot of coffee a day or so, and other people could attest I would drink an entire pot of coffee, still go right to sleep. Like, it almost didn't work. So I was very hesitant in trying these, but I enjoy them. They do get me through the day. They don't leave me crashed out super hard. They're wonderful drinks. I just got myself some more. I'm excited to try the cherry one. But like I've said in the last couple episodes when I did this, the apple acai is one of my absolute favorite flavors so far. They've got a whole bunch on there, so try them out. Don't forget to use my show's promo code SFBTC when you get there. You will get 20% off, okay? That out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the episode. This first story is from someone who wrote in. We're going to call him BW. BW is an assistant manager at a store. One day, he's running around the store, taking care of problem after problem, as is per the norm. For anyone who's ever worked management, we know that. It's just hectic. Well, a customer comes in and starts yelling at one of his new associates. One of the ones who have barely been with the company for about a month. And he's just going off on her about how the military discount is supposed to work and what he's dealt with at other stores compared to this one, and he knows it's just this store. So the associate, of course, calls for management. When BW picks up the call, he can hear the customer going off in the background. He can't quite understand what he's saying, but the associate tells him that the customer is feeling some sort of discriminated against and wants to speak with management. So he says, all right, and heads towards the customer and associate. Well, by the time BW gets to the customer, he asks the customer what the problem is. The customer instantly blows up on BW. You fucking know damn well what's going on here. I just watched her call you. You should know what's going on. BW tries to calmly respond with, well, sir, all she said was that there was an issue you felt discriminated against, and I couldn't really get much more out of that before I said I was on my way. So please, what's going on? So the customer goes off. I'm in the middle of moving here from another state, and in that state, they give you a military discount on everything in the store. I know that's how it's supposed to be. Why the fuck is your store dishonoring your company and the veterans? I know it's just your store. You people are fucking stupid. This is bullshit. Amongst many other things, he just kept going on this particular way. BW tried to explain that he's been with the company for many years and been with a couple of stores, and this is the way he's always known it to be. He can print out the store's standard operating procedures on said subject if he'd like. But the guy wanted to continue to cuss, yell, and call BW names. It got to the point where BW was just saying, well, obviously there's nothing I can do for you, so we're done. You can leave my store now. And he walked away from the customer. He would have been more than happy to give him his 10% off his purchase, whatever he was getting, if the guy had just acted like an adult. We understand sometimes emotions run high when you're used to things going a specific way, but since he just wanted to die on this hill that BW was stupid and it was just his store doing something wrong on purpose, at this point he wasn't going to help him. When you come in, you ask questions, you say, hey, this is the way I'm used to things, and someone tries to explain it to you. If you act cool about it, guess what? We are a lot more likely to work with you. So, life lesson. Don't be a dick. You might be more likely to get help on issues. On to the next story. This one's about a cabinet delivery gone wrong. The store that I worked at the time uses a couple of different delivery companies for small, easy deliveries that don't require a giant box truck or a flatbed semi. So the customer ordered some cabinets and some other small pieces online. The online services automatically route the delivery to one of these companies for fulfillment. The store picks all of the items, gets it set up for the delivery driver to pick up, and shortly after, the driver comes and picks up the order. Nice and smooth. Usually. Well, the driver puts the delivery address into his GPS and hits the road. A couple of hours later, we receive a call. It's the customer that placed the order. They're saying that they got an email saying that their order was delivered. They have looked outside all around and don't see their cabinets or anything else for their order anywhere. They have pictures in their email from the driver showing where he delivered everything. The customer says that their house is a new building and the house in the picture looks like it's falling apart. They must have delivered it to the wrong address. We are also able to see the pictures, and we can confirm that the house in these pictures don't match what Google Maps is showing us when we type in the customer's address. We try calling the driver. He swears up and down that he delivered it to the correct address. That's where GPS took him, and he's washing his hands of the situation. Obviously, this isn't satisfactory customer service, nor does it make the customer very happy. We go through our SOP, and we do the proper process. Complain to the delivery people, and they're supposed to take care of it. Customer is happy at this point. We tell them, don't worry, you're not getting the old ones that are being left out in the middle of nowhere. We're sending you brand new ones. You're good. Stay home. Stay nice and comfy. You'll get your cabinets tomorrow. Well, by the time we hung up with them, they seemed happy and ready to wait for tomorrow to get their brand new cabinets. An hour later, the same customer calls back. Apparently, they had been so worried about these other cabinets, they decided to go driving in their neighborhood and searching for them. They found them one block over from their house, loaded them in their pickup truck, and took them home. At this point, they are completely happy, and they have their cabinets. They don't seem to be damaged or anything of the sort. They're perfectly fine now. So, now, my team has to go back into the order we just made and assured them it would be delivered, brand new cabinets, next day. We need to now cancel the delivery, set it up as they just came into the store and took them with them and took care of the customer. Obviously, the customer still called and complained about the driver to the delivery company once they found out which one it was. I'm not sure what happened on that side, but we finally are done with this order. It just amazes me that after everything they made us go through on our side, they still went through all of the trouble of going and finding them and then still complaining to the delivery company. I mean, personally, this is just my take. If you were able to get these cabinets into your vehicle in the first place, why wouldn't you have just come into the store, grabbed them yourself, saved the money on the delivery, get them home faster, safer? None of this would have been an issue. It would have been different if someone was too old and they couldn't handle loading or unloading them. But obviously they loaded them into their vehicle perfectly fine. Maybe if you don't have a vehicle that can handle all of them, I understand you getting it delivered, but you had a car that could do it the whole time. None of this seems necessary. But that's just me. Anyway, moving on to the next story. This one is about the delivery driver that wanted to be paid more and didn't understand which company was paying them. This is a story from somebody who wrote in, and we will call her Lily. Lily says, there's an order that was released to a delivery driver. My company uses multiple of those companies, like Spark, Uber, Roadie, whatever. One of them came in to pick up an order. It was released to them. They go and they deliver it. My coworker who had released it to them goes on their break. I'm dealing with a line of people when this driver calls back and wants to complain to me that they were only getting $12 for delivering 2 giant barbecues. I tried to explain, well, ma'am, I have no control over that. That is all decided by the company that you work for. They figure out all the payments and how that works. You might want to talk to them. Well, that driver did not like that answer. She apparently needed $50 fucking immediately and made it well known to Lily. So while she's sitting here cussing out Lily's trying to take care of a line of customers and multitasking. The lady is yelling at her so bad over the phone, the customer in front of her can hear it. Finally, after a little bit, she just told the person, okay, well, you're going to have to call back and talk to either my department supervisor or a manager on duty, but obviously I cannot help you. You're going to have to try and talk to them. So she gets off the phone, and even the customer in front of her was like, what the hell? So, for anyone who might be using one of these companies, who might not know or understand, the store that you pick up from does not decide how much money you get for this delivery. That is the company that you work for. If you work for Uber, Uber decides your pay. If you work for Roadie, Roadie decides your pay. None of these stores that you go to decide any of that. Lily did go on to say that she was able to talk to somebody else who worked for that company that day, explained the situation, and that driver explained that the company they worked for, it all goes by mileage. It's not about how heavy the item is or how much real estate it takes up. It's about how far are you going. Can you fit it in your car? Cool. This is how far you're going. This is how much you're getting paid. They don't care if it's 2 big heavy barbecues or an entire pallet of brick that needs to be hand loaded. If you're only going a mile down the road, that's what you're getting paid for. So, for any of you lovely delivery drivers that don't know that, make sure you understand what you and your company are doing before you come to other stores and yell at them for something that's out of their control. And for anyone who wants to point it out, yes, I know I did say a couple of company names, but I was just giving examples so you understood what kind of delivery companies. I still did not clarify which one this was from. So, it's still anonymous. Thank you. Anyway, let's move on to another quick story. This one's from KK. KK has written in before. She shares another story about, you guessed it, a delivery driver that she dealt with at her most recent job. KK is at a big retail store that uses multiple of these delivery services that we've been talking about. This time, she's dealing with a lady that is picking up 2 orders at once. One is some small, light stuff that goes a few blocks over, and the other one is a few rolls of roofing paper that goes about 15 miles out. KK says standard process is that we notate when it's being picked up, by who, and we get the driver's phone number just in case we have any issues or questions. We print out paperwork for each order being delivered and hand them off to the driver with the product. The product for each order even has a sticker with the customer's name on them, so that you shouldn't be able to mix them up. The driver takes off with the product and the delivery papers. Shortly after, both customers call the store and say that they have the wrong stuff. So KK apologizes. She said we had to get a hold of the driver, let her know that they had mixed up the orders and that she needed to fix her mistake. The driver came into the store demanding a manager. blaming KK for not being clear on which order was which and what belonged to who, etc., etc., etc. The manager looked at the driver flatly and said, "We have stickers on the product. We print out paperwork, and you have a phone telling you who you're going to. This is all on you." The driver starts flipping out at this point. "Well, I'm not going all the way the hell back out to the other place. I'm going to the one around the corner, but I'm not going all the way back out of town again. Not unless you're paying me for it." The manager responds with, "No, ma'am, we will not be paying you anything. That is between you and the company you work for. But this is your mistake, and you need to fix it, and I'm sure they will tell you the same thing, and you will not be getting paid." Obviously, that did not make the driver very happy. Ultimately, the driver ended up taking the order that we had to repick for the customer around the corner and brought back what she delivered wrong to him, and then she washed her hands of the situation. KK says we have since requested that driver does not come into our store anymore. The other customer had to bring back the other order that was delivered wrong to them. Luckily enough, they looked at their order again and realized that they had ordered the wrong stuff in the first place, and they needed to cancel the order. But luckily, they weren't mad at us. They did call and complain about the driver, though. This is me speaking as Alpha. I've dealt with a lot of these different drivers and different companies, but there's a handful of them that just think they're entitled, and I don't get it. You're working a job just like the rest of us. You're a human just like the rest of us. I just don't understand why we have to treat each other poorly. If a mistake is made, own up to it, fix it. Even if that means you have to waste a little bit of your own gas and not get paid for it. Especially in a situation like this, it was solely on you. I I don't know how you can rectify it any other way unless you're just too old to understand what's going on around you, in which case you should probably not be driving, much less delivering other people's stuff. If that's not the case, then just pull your head out of your ass. And it goes to all drivers. But again, I've dealt with a lot of these Uber, roadie, whatever drivers. A lot of them are just regular, normal people trying to make a living, and a lot of them are cool as hell. Ones like this, though, really piss me off. And they just piss other people off. Pull your head out of your ass. That being said, we're going to move on to the last one. This story is from somebody else who wrote in. They wish to stay completely anonymous, but they titled their story, "How I Got Fired and It Was the Best Thing for Me." They write in saying, "I was fired from a big retail place because I had emails between my bosses and my team about our performance. I responded to all of the emails so everyone on the team could see the emails. The emails pertained to the asset protection manager and the co-manager of the front end at the time, and conversations of how they talked to us. I was telling them that if they kept talking to me and the rest of the team the way that they were, I would turn them into HR. They were way out of line with their verbiage and for the demands that they were placing on us, especially with the state of the world at the time. It was just before they came down with the mask mandate and shelter-in-place mandates for COVID. Well, after a couple of weeks of going back and forth with these emails, the day that our company got the mandate that we all had to wear masks, we had a meeting with all of the front-end people in the manager's office. When we were done at the meeting, all of the management instantly surrounded me by the key box. I thought it was weird, but no one said anything. I grabbed my keys, went to work, and 2 hours later, I'm getting ready to hit my break when I'm called to the AP office. That's when they tell me that they have reason to believe that I am intoxicated and or under the influence of marijuana. Obviously, I asked why they would think that. They claimed that everyone in the office agreed that I smelled like it. I responded with, "Well, I'm not sure what you're smelling. I've been out for 2 weeks. You can test me right now." In the state I lived in at the time, it was completely recreationally legal, but I didn't use before work anyway. Regardless, again, I had been out for a while. So without hesitation, I said I've been out for 2 weeks. Well, once I said I'd been out for 2 weeks and that I had used it all, they said that's admission of use in general and you're suspended until further notice. 1 week later, they called me on the phone and they fired me at home. No drug test, no nothing. I just pretty much admitted to using ever in my life, and that was enough for them to fire me. But joke is on them, because remember when I said it was right at the beginning of COVID and the mask mandate? Well, the government was also asking people not to work and even going out in public. So I filed for unemployment. It took a little bit, but when I was approved for unemployment, I went from making about $700 every 2 weeks or so, if I was lucky, to making about $900 a week on unemployment during this time. Best thing that ever happened to me. This is me speaking as alpha on the subject. Well, that's very shady and very unsurprising for a lot of companies. Sadly, it is stated in almost anything for almost any company unless you have a medical card that they just don't want you doing it regardless. So, as much as that sucks, they do have a leg to stand on when it comes to that. But I still think that they should have drug tested you. Regardless, it sounds like the joke is on them. You pretty much, I don't want to say doubled your money, but you definitely made a whole hell of a lot more after that. 700 every 2 weeks to, oh no, you absolutely doubled your money to 1800 every 2 weeks. That's pretty good. Fuck them. That being said, I think we're going to go ahead and call this an episode. Thanks again for listening, guys. As always, I appreciate everyone who's been listening, and especially those who've been sending me their stories. Again, whatever I call you on the show is all you will ever be known as. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to Denise Esparza from Nisi Art on Instagram. She's the one who's responsible for the thumbnails that you guys see when I upload my episodes. Check her out on Instagram if you want to see what else she can do. I want to give a shout out to Nivation as well for the intro and the outro music that's provided for the show. You can find Nivation on Spotify and on Facebook. Nivation, Denise, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate both of you for helping me keep this going. With all that being said, this is Alpha signing off. Stay fabulous, everyone.